how do I create a lifestyle that brings harmony?
So all things might be possible, but not all things are prudent.
You've got to have a personal purpose statement. And this personal purpose statement helps you navigate these gray areas in life.
The truth of the matter is, time is what you have, and it's a limited resource. And so use it like that.
Oh, it's about coaching my team, not doing the work for them.
Hear the emotion, go to the emotion, work in that emotion that moves a credible manager to that incredible manager status.
You're listening to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, a podcast that delivers value and offers up insight that'll help your credit union grow. ServiceStar has been consulting with credit unions for over 20 years, growing them in the areas of cultural development, leadership development, and management training. To learn more about what ServiceStar can do for you or your credit union, check them out at servicestarconsulting.com.
Welcome to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast. I'm Scott Albrecht, and with me is co-host
Scott Anderley.
Today, we're going to blow your mind. So get a helmet on and get ready for the mind to be blown. What are we talking about today, Scott Anderley?
Work-life integration. The goal of this episode is to help leaders design a work-life integration plan or give you the next steps to develop your work-life integration plan that improves performance, relationships, and resilience.
Give me that PRR.
PRR. What's PRR?
It's performance, relationships, and resilience.
Oh, that was quick. PRR. All right. Well, first, Albrecht, let's talk about this. When we're talking to a lot of leaders, it seems to be the big topic right now to talk about work-life balance. And actually, I think some people are realizing that the term work-life balance, that there's some things that are that just don't work about it. I was recently listening to John Maxwell, and he likes to think of it as seasons. Hey, you can't keep everything in balance. There's things that require more of you, whether it's your family, whether it's projects at work, whether it's your team at work, whether it is a new task force that you're doing. You operate in seasons. What we teach here at ServiceStar Consulting is work-life integration. And this is, how do I create a lifestyle that brings harmony? I love music, and I think of having two different notes that work beautifully together, that sound beautiful together. Because you can pick different notes that are going in its own direction, own key, own timing, and that's what we call dissonance, where it sounds ugly and bad together. But what we want to do is we want to bring all these elements of your life together to create a beautiful chord. And there's a ton of elements. If you look at Brandon Turner's Wheel of Life, there's 8 elements. But what we really focus on is your professional career life and your personal family and friend life. And why does this matter? Well, Gallup has a ton of stats that show this, and we talk about this in our course, but it affects your health, like your actual physical health as well as your mental health. It affects relationships. It affects your decision-making skills, how productive you are, and it helps you navigate having less conflict, building places, disagreements from a place of trust that helps you resolve conflict well. Albrecht, have you had the opportunity to train work-life integration? I know you've worked with a lot of teammates in helping them adjust their lifestyle.
Yeah, so I mean, in credit unions, if you're talking about chords and music, there's tons of discord, if you know what I'm saying. And
got it.
So I do believe there's a time and a season, turn. For every reason, turn. And so all things might be possible, but not all things are prudent. And so there's going to be some times where you have to rely on your own core values to make calls. And that's really what Managing the Messy Middle, one of our most popular podcasts. It was episode 13. Go back and listen to it. Recorded, I think, 2012. So, I mean, we might sound pretty youthful, but we are predating ourselves here a little bit there, Mr. Anderley. But we are super excited to talk about work-life integration because balance, although it sounds kumbaya and the yin to my yang, it's actually kind of stressful to think about keeping everything at 50-50, the scales of justice, if you will, being exactly weighted with the right gram per measurement on each side. Oh no, I spent an hour extra at work. The balance is all over.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And actually, with having a bunch of type A personalities, accountants, we work with money, zero-based budgets, all this stuff. Yeah, if it's 51 versus 49, some of us may freak out. And I think we're going to – no, not think. I know from people I've talked to, you'll find a lot of freedom in this term work-life integration.
Yeah, it makes you feel good when the chords are at the right tone.
Look at you. All right, guys. Well, let's take it to the office hours.
Let's do.
Office hours.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
And now it's time for your questions. It's Q&A with S&S. Welcome to our next rendition of Questions with Scott and Scott. Scott Anderley, what do we have? Ryan's got some questions for us. What are we serving up today, Ryan and Scott?
Yeah.
All right. So our first question, I multitask all day. When do I coach?
I get it. Multitask all day. You're wearing multiple hats. You're picking up work for the person who's taking time off. You're probably picking up work. You know what? Maybe you had someone shift departments recently and you're not able to rehire. You've got a lot of stuff going on and it's tough. I hear this all the time when we teach coaching for performance, where people go, when do I do this? And what we teach is have a consistent plan of weekly or monthly, some sort of cadence when your team knows to expect this, that these aren't surprise coaching sessions. Now, with this, how does this tie into work-life integration? Well, one of the things that's super important for us as leaders as our job becomes more of a lifestyle than set hours is that you've got to have a personal purpose statement. And this personal purpose statement helps you navigate these gray areas in life. So when it comes to multitasking, you say, all right, what is my purpose? For me, my purpose is to inspire and equip others to fight for dreams. So I say, all right, how do I inspire and equip? Well, I need to meet with them to help keep them on track using my values of focus, which means I also need to be on focus as well. So I use this purpose to anchor me of saying, this is why I'm here. This is my purpose for our team is to inspire and equip by focusing, by using my values of focus and positivity. And I will do that to help lead my team to live out my department's purpose statement. So use this as you anchor. And I hear it's hard. I hear that you've got a lot of stuff going on, but you got to say, why am I here? Why am I in this specific role? And then you take action on that. So I guess the clear cut answer, Albrecht, would be, hey, once a week or once a month do coaching. But I want to get deeper into that with the why. Because if you don't have that why there, this is just going to fizzle out. You need to have your purpose statement and say, why am I doing this? It's because my purpose is this.
I agree. One way to get kicked out of a credit union is to say, oh, you guys have all the time in the world. Listen, I bet you don't have time to manage. I bet you are doing the best that you can to manage the time that you have. And you know what Ed Filene would say to that? Ed Filene would say, progress is replacing the best that there is with something still better. And so if you're trying your best, great. Let's burn that to the ground and get even better, 1% better every day. When we get lean and we start to get efficient, Ed Filene lived in the day of the revolutionary and evolutionary times of plant manufacturing, replacing the one farmer doing one field of crop with huge machinery doing multiple fields of crop, which changed the economy and the way that we scale things. Before the evolution of plant manufacturing, we would only make things for people who are super wealthy. Well, now that we can make 1,000 dresses, we have to price them so that 1,000 people can buy them. And so with your efficiency gains, you can scale and scope management more often. So if you're a basketball player, let's take it outside of business for a second, and you need to get a rebound, but there ain't no time for that. What do they teach you in practice? I don't have space. I don't have time to get the rebound. You box out and you get the rebound. So if you don't have space and time, box out by blocking out calendar space. Maybe don't go to a meeting or shorten a couple of meetings that you've put on so that you can build in those margins and work your margins. When you say I don't have time, that's a lie. You've got the same amount of time as someone who is coaching. And when you say you got all the time in the world, that's a lie. The truth of the matter is time is what you have, and it's a limited resource. And so use it like that. You get 5 minutes at the end of a meeting that ends early. That's a margin. Don't let it pass by. Those are 5 minutes that you can use to coach your team.
And, I want to just catch you doing it right, Albrecht. You do that really well between our training meeting and team meeting and our sales meetings. You'll be like, oh, I'll work on this. And then all of a sudden you'll send us an email with that document that was it required work, but you were able to do it in 10 minutes and send it to us. So it's like, man, we already have this. You literally did that last Friday as well, working those margins of time. Really, really good. Brian, what's the next question?
Question 2. Remote team needs connection time. How much personal belongs in one-on-ones?
Oh, that's a great question. And, Albrecht, you and I, we live this out because, I've seen you a total of maybe 2 to 3 times now in person, but
Don't make me cry.
don't make me cry. Ryan, I might have seen you more though, because you used to live here, but not anymore. We're all in different states, North Carolina, Ohio, and Tennessee. Did I get that right?
That's right.
All right, cool, cool. So the first thing I'll say is I hear this all the time, even with on site with people working together is, hey, I usually take the first 5 minutes to say, how's it going? How was your weekend? When it comes to your coaching sessions, what they say now, this is a hot take. Don't talk about personal life. You keep it very focused. Hey, when we get together in coaching, I want to say, hey, I want to catch you doing it right. I want to see if I can delegate work to you. Hey, if there's some areas that you want to grow and we need to instruct you or find some training, I want to help develop you. If there's something holding you back and overshadowing the greatness you're doing, we're going to confront that unwanted behavior. That's what coaching is about. It should be a very quick meeting, 15, maybe 30 minutes, where you know what to expect. Your teammate knows what to expect, that it's going to be one of these things. You can talk about personal time 5 minutes before other projects. You can talk about personal time. Some organizations I work with, they even have scheduled water check-in times where it's 15 to 30 minutes where they just get to talk and get to know each other and build that trust with one another. But when it comes to coaching, we need to keep that focused, which again, for me, I bring it all back to my personal purposes. All right, why am I here? All right, my role here in this meeting is to be focused and do this. I'm also tying it back into being proactive, which is another step in work-life integration. And there's a whole exercise we do that with who's the one person I need to meet with? What's the one thing we need to do this week to get better, get us closer to living out our purpose? Albrecht, what do you think of my hot take? Agree, disagree? What are some thoughts?
Oh man, it's so hot, right? I got my fire extinguisher here,
Dude,
just
I've
to
got
make sure,
brownies already. It's so hot.
Yeah. Here's the challenge. So those of you who listened to my first quip, you're gonna laugh and maybe even hang up on this podcast. If that's a thing that you can do, you'll hang up right on my face as I say this. Here's a challenge for you. If you're not meeting with your team on a regular basis and you're remote, then you need to start meeting with your team on a regular basis. If that's monthly and you are meeting with your team on a regular basis, I want you to move that to bi-weekly. If it's bi-weekly and you're meeting with your team on a regular basis, I want you to move it to weekly. You know where I'm going next. If you're meeting with your team on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, I'm going to challenge you to meet with your team on a daily basis. Now, as you move
1% better.
closer to more frequency, you can cut the amount of time that you're spending. So you actually don't even need to add more time. If you're doing a 5-minute daily meeting and you're doing a 25-minute weekly meeting and you're doing a half hour to an hour, monthly meeting or biweekly meeting, you're not really cutting the time. You're not adding time by cutting it down, but by adding frequency, you're making the unintentional kind of happenstance in-person flybys. Like we're both on the way to the restroom when we see each other. You're making the unintentional intentional by increasing the frequency in which we meet. So it might be just a 5-minute stand up before we get to our days. It's a quick 5-minute Zoom call. We all get on the same call, talk about what we're going to achieve that day, and then we go on. But I do want more frequency around how often you meet with your team if you are remote. And so regardless of where you stand in that continuum, just go to the next level of frequency. Keeping it professional also means that if I meet with you daily, I might have a different theme each day. And one of those days might be, hey, how was your weekend? Right? Maybe on Thursdays we talk about Modern Family because we watched it on Wednesday night. I mean, so when you increase the frequency, it does decrease the need to only make it about all of the outcomes and all the behaviors are going to change and all the behaviors we're catching doing things right, because we have more windows of time to have these more frequent conversations that we would have if we were in person. So we're trying to not imitate in person, but try to get ahead of not talking to someone for a whole week and then wondering what they're doing by having more frequent conversations with them.
Man, really good point. So I heard two things, and let me go. One is, hey, remote, we need to be very intentional, very consistent as leaders meeting with our team. How long it is, that's up to you. Now, the second thing I heard was Modern Family. I've been rewatching that show with our newborn, and I love watching it because it makes me feel closer to you, Albrecht. Phil Dunphy is your height, and there's some things Phil Dunphy does that I feel like is you. And I've also heard that about myself, which I think says why we're a great match.
You are my Phil to my Dumpy.
Done for to the fee. All right. So, hey, this is questions. What we're going to do now is we're going to transition to you guessed it, a word from our sponsors.
An investment in leadership is one that pays dividends in your others. I'm Scott Albrecht, guest on the Credit Union Leadership Podcast and Vice President of Learning and Development. And man, oh man, our upcoming Emerging Leaders course is something that I didn't get as a department manager over several departments in the credit union movement. And the average manager in America doesn't go to manager training until they've been a manager for 10 years on average. We send the average teller to 2 to 3 weeks of teller training. And yet, as a manager, we just give them the keys to the Jeep and we tell them not to break it. Drive it like you stole it. Maybe even prayers and our best thoughts are with you, but no management training. And so Service Star Consulting is here to fill that void with our Emerging Leaders class, where your talent will get topics like effective mentorship, building trust, coaching for performance, leadership hacks, and many more. Join us at our next upcoming cohort. We've got 2 that launch every year. We're so excited about having your talent at the next Emerging Leaders cohort. Welcome back. Welcome to Story Time. We got Scott Anderley on the 1s and 2s. Sing us a song about a time in your life where you're reflecting on work-life integration, Scott Anderley, and how it maybe changed the way that you view work and life.
Well, let's I might get a little heavy for a second, but let's talk about this idea of disharmony. When elements of your life are playing different notes that don't work together, they're in different times, and it's how do we get these to come together? And before I even do that, in our course, Work-Life Integration, Emerging Leaders, we focus on this work-life integration plan where we talk about the concept, we define it, and then we actually give you a practical tool to work on it. So the first one is developing a personal purpose statement, and we walk you through the steps to create that. For me, it is to equip and inspire others to fight for dreams by using my values of focus, positivity, and communication. Then the second one is being proactive. It's not enough just saying, oh, I've got purpose. It's saying, what am I going to do? I'm not going to wait. I'm going to do something about it. And we give you 3 questions, and we even help you put things in certain quadrants of what's in your control, what's not in your control, what's hurting, what's helping your work-life integration. And based on what quadrant elements of your life are in, that gives you what you're going to be proactive in, which are questions like, hey, what's the one thing you need to do today, and some other things. And then the third one's prepare for the unexpected, which is that's always an interesting one for people, is how do you prepare for something you're not expecting? And this is what we're talking about. How can you constantly respond in a manner that lives up to your purpose statement? And then the fourth one is partner up, because our research shows, or not our research, it's other universities that I was looking at, that you are 95% more likely to accomplish a goal, not if you just have a goal, not if you just write it down, not if you just write it down and have a plan, but if you write it down, have a plan, and then you have someone that you're meeting up with consistently to hold you accountable. Sounds a lot like a coaching session. Now, with this, there was a time where I needed to work on preparing for the unexpected, and I was not doing that well. I remember I was working long hours at work, and I thought I was the only one that could fix things, so I started taking everyone's tasks. And by the time I did get home, I was feeling burnt out. And I remember having some family over for dinner, and I was giving my daughter a bath, and we talk about the warning signs of not having work-life integration, and I was experiencing all of them, including poor decision making. And I thought, this is so dumb. But I was doing something that was very unsafe for my daughter. And I remember my parents came in and they're like, that's totally unsafe. And I wasn't thinking, I was like, oh, they're right. But I was so upset that we started getting in a bit of an argument. And I remember they decided to leave. And that's when me and my wife were talking. We're like, there's some disharmony going on in aspects of my life where I wasn't able to respond in a way that I wanted to in my personal life because of things going on in my professional life. And that's when we sat down, we said, all right, something needs to change. And that's when I came up with my purpose statement of what do I do at work So I come in saying, this is how I bring value to my team. This is how I help my team achieve this. And I realized, oh, it's about coaching my team, not doing the work for them. And then from that, that'll help me be proactive of who's the one person I need to meet with? Which teammate do I need to meet with today? What's the one thing I need to delegate or assign to them to get done? And I started working with more purpose, and this helped my team feel more purposeful. And then when my team came with questions or there were situations I wasn't expecting, guess what? I knew how to prepare for the unexpected. And then I partnered up with fellow teammates, and part of even not just teammates, but other people in life that I wanted to be like. Actually, one of them was Mike Nealon. I learned a lot from him at that time as I was leading. So all of this really helped me. And I share this story because some of you may have gone through something similar. Some of you may have been doing something dumb or acted out irrationally to someone you love or to teammates that you respect. And that's why this course exists. It exists to prevent you from getting to those moments. Or when you do get to those moments, how do I repair that? How do I fix it? How do I get better next time? So as we're answering the next question, I want us to anchor it to our principle. And the principle is this flywheel, this work-life integration plan, which is you need to have a personal purpose statement. Once you have a personal purpose statement, you need to be proactive and say, what are elements that are helping my work-life integration that I need to take advantage of? What are elements that are hurting my work-life integration that I have control of and can change? Third is, how do I prepare for the unexpected? that can be tough. And it's really stretching this gap between what just happened, the event, and how you respond. And as you stretch that gap, you think, all right, who do I want to be? And that's when you go back to your personal purpose, and then you act in a manner, you show behaviors that live that out. And you partner up with other people that are trying to do the same thing that helps you get there. So keep that in mind. And if you're interested by this, guess what? We've got a whole course on it in Emerging Leaders. But keep those principles in mind as we go to the questions. So let's go to office hours.
Office hours.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Ryan, give us that next question.
All right, our final question. When life changes, force goal resets, how do I keep credibility?
When life changes, force goal resets, how do I keep credibility? When I first hear this, my brain's going a lot of different ways of what this question could mean. Albrecht, are you feeling the same way?
Yeah, I mean, we got to anchor ourselves by getting more context. Otherwise, we might be set sail with a drift of many different types of ways to answer this question. But I'm excited to hear how you answer it, Scott Anthony.
Well, I'm going to pull an Albrecht. The answer is it depends. But let me tell you, Albrecht, how I'm reading this, and this is how I'm going to answer this. So when I hear when life changes, force goal resets, how do I keep credibility? And actually, I'm going to tie it into one of our Vertex courses, employee accountability. And we talk about setting minimum expectations. Sometimes you may even be setting goals. And I'm thinking of this as a leader to my teammate. And my teammate comes in and says, hey, this thing's happened, and I won't be able to meet my cross-selling goal for the month. Or, hey, this thing happened and I won't be able to reach a specific outcome we've come through. And so when I hear, how do I keep credibility? What I'm hearing is, how do I coach them for performance, but also understand the relationship? It's not overvaluing the relationship. I'm not being a country club coach. It's not overvaluing productivity, being a directive coach. It's how do I be a winning coach here by using my work-life integration plan? So with this, that's how I'm hearing it. That's how I want to frame the question. And Albrecht, you even alluded to what I'm going to talk about earlier, which is we've got a podcast episode called Managing in the Messy Middle. Because as you're a middle level manager, you are expected to get things done from your higher level leaders, but you're going to be hit with so many questions that you're like, there's not a playbook for this. How do I answer this? And that episode does a really good job of giving you some operating principles, some values to go by that work in tandem with having a personal purpose. So when life changes, force goal resets. Things might happen. I think, Albrecht, you and I were talking not too long ago of what happens if I have to reset the expectation or goal for an employee if it had something to do with like disability leave, right? Or if there's COVID or something like that versus other situations that maybe is more in control. So what I want to talk about here is focusing on prepare for the unexpected, which the big thing we talk about in practice in the course is this idea of there's the event that happens. Teammate comes in, boss, I can no longer meet this expectation. Boss, you know what? I have a family member that's in the hospital. I'm going to have to call out for a couple of weeks. All right. You hear this event. All right. And now your response, some of our gut level response would be, but you got to show up to work. You got to find someone to cover your shift. If you don't, you're in trouble. Might be that directive coach. Maybe our gut level response is the country club, which it's all right. I'll figure it all out for you. When really what we need to do is we need to stretch this gap and say, okay, this is the vent. What is my purpose? To equip and aspire. I want to help people focus, have responsibility. And you start bringing this into what do I bring to my team? And this leads to the outcome of who you want to be and the leader you want to be known for. That's where I would point this. Yeah. And the answer is still as it depends. Because as teammates come up, some of them, the question is, what is your purpose and what is your team's purpose? Some of these things, it might be, hey, I understand. We'll work with you. Some of these might be, hey, you're responsible to the team. And when you do this unwanted behavior, it's putting the team in this bad position. What are you going to do about this? But you've got to say, what is your purpose? What are you here for? Albrecht, what would you add to this with the context we've given this question?
I was soaking in your wisdom there, Scott Anderley. So I think this question is asking a question that is not stated in the question, which is the concern for this manager is around credibility. And so I want to move that from just credible manager to incredible manager. What's the difference? Well, it's the word in. So your play on, hey, what's my personal mission statement might mean that I need to build in space to reflect on how I'm going to respond so that the emotions that whatever was just told to me can match the way I want them to perceive. And so many times emotions is kind of the key. If you feel the feeling coming across from whoever's sharing something that's kind of life-changing with you, and you can go to the emotion before trying to offer up a solution, offering the shoulder over the solution, that's what moves you from credible to incredible as a manager. And you might still stick to your guns. Maybe you don't change or reset a goal. But the key is you saw understanding, you gave them the voice. And even though you've got both votes, and again, you might still hardline it and still hold them to the same goal, it's that opportunity to hear the emotion, go to the emotion, work in that emotion that moves a credible manager to that incredible manager status, which means there's no playbook. You kind of have to read the person. When they say, I feel like this is happening, don't combat that with something opposite. Go to the emotion. They just used the F word. They just said feel. Go there. Let's talk about that. What's making you feel that way? What are some of the things that are conjuring up those feelings and emotions? Paint the picture for me. I can't feel them unless you kind of describe them to me. And if they do use the key word, the trigger word, feel, that's kind of like that's $1 million, because now I can go there and I can talk about what this change is making them feel. And many times, if I can address the emotion first before offering a solution, they probably already have the solution already. They just needed a place to vent their emotions.
Really, really good stuff. And it reminds me what we should, as leaders and just teammates, is we should seek to be understood and to understand those around us. What I will also say for those of you thinking about one of the courses we teach on a lot, coaching for performance, if this conversation comes up during a coaching session, which again, I think we even said it earlier this meeting, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, is very short and it's focused on performance, behaviors that we need. That would be a little different, but we should be talking to our teammates often to have these conversations, to know this before we get to our coaching session. Really, really good stuff. And actually, this leads me to our next and last section, Scott's soapbox.
Oh, I can't wait. I haven't taken a shower and I stink. So let's get that soapbox ready.
Scott's soapbox.
I want to talk to you guys about something that keeps me motivated, both at work and at home. See, we're talking about work-life integration, and there's nothing more life-giving than work when work has a purpose. And so if you're working in the credit union industry and you're seeking purpose in life, just give me your ear for the next 2 minutes. You see, based on my experience, the average member that walks into the credit union doesn't know how much they make. Now, if you were to ask the average manager how much you make, they could come up with maybe $1 per hour or a salary. That's not what I mean. Net take home. What's your average household take home deposited into all of your accounts that you have? Take a gander. What do you think that is? Average member doesn't have a clue how much they have to work with from a money standpoint. Now, what's even more frightening with debit cards and credit cards and spouses and multiple users, many homeowners also don't, or households don't know how much is going out of the house on a monthly basis.
Right.
So as an industry, we got a pandemic on our hands because we have lack of information, lack of people looking at the data, because the data is something that's very low on their priority list. And so if you're looking for purpose in the credit union movement, you have a job where you can talk about something that is very important to meeting your goals as a family. And it's something that many people aren't in a position to have a conversation with somebody about. Like if you go to the shoe shop, when they say, hey, the price of these shoes is $69.99. Hey, I just want to talk to you a little bit about your budget. Is this in the budget for this month, or do you need to like put it on layaway? It would be an uncomfortable conversation to have at the shoe shop. We're the only industry and we're the only place where we can have our container. You see, coach in Hungarian means container, a safe place. And so when we take a look at our purpose in the credit union movement, it really is helping people find their delta. So how does this help me at home? Well, this is something that I can start by leading with example myself. So here's my personal challenge to you. If you're working on home work-life integration, here's a great way to do it. Use some of the tools that your credit union is giving to your members. If there's a budgeting tool, use that. If there's a credit score tool, use that. Use these tools to your advantage to be able to export all of your spend out of your credit union, export all the spend out of your other banks, put them all into one Excel spreadsheet and start doing some sorts, some data finds to see, hey, where's the one institution we spend the most money at? Sum it up. How much per month do we spend there? This data starts to tell a story about your spending habits and how those habits are aligned with your financial goals, which gives you clarity in figuring out how you can meet and exceed some of the goals that you have in your own life. So why am I bringing this up in work-life integration? Well, it's proven statistically that the number one cause of stress at home and at work is financial wellness. And so as we help corporations with this as a credit union, as we help individuals with this as a maybe branch manager or a support team member helping out the branches, we can also help ourselves with the same kind of safe place where we can find our own deltas. And that will empower us to not only live our financial dreams, but also have a better, deeper meaning for going to work every day.
And this is the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, where we inspire current and aspiring credit union leaders to use these principles in the real world. So guys, till next time, we'll see you. Interested in submitting a question to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, we want to hear from you. Go in our show notes. We have a link over there. And in that link, it's going to take you to two options. You can submit a question written out through email, or you can submit an audio recording through SpeakPipe. We make it super easy. Go to the link in the show notes, click audio recording. Once you click audio recording, it's going to take you straight to a website where you just press the record button. You've got 90 seconds to submit a question or submit you catching doing somebody do it right. And then you just type in your name and email address, and that's it. It comes straight to us, and we'll take it from there. So you don't need to download anything. You don't need to get any new software. You just go to this website, press record, and click submit, and we're good to go. So go to the link in the show notes. Click if you want to submit a question written out or through audio, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Hey, we are on YouTube. We've got video podcasts. So click the link in the show notes. Watch our YouTube video. We're working on how to get videos on Spotify and iTunes, Apple Music, things like that. But what we've learned is that people are 80% more likely to remember something if there's a visual associated with it. So watch our video podcast, comment, let us know how we can be better. Let us be part of your journey. Thank you so much.
So you're interested in Service Star training, but you don't know what courses to send your employees to. Introducing course bundles. Launch your employees into unparalleled growth through our Credit Union PhD, Service Excellence, and Becoming a Sales Champion or Referral Sales Champion workshops in the bundle known as the New Employee Bundle. A very popular solution for credit unions. Your employees' first dive into the rich history of our financial cooperative, where people helping people set the cornerstone of our popular credit union movement, will be established in the Credit Union PhD workshop. This workshop brilliantly lays out the groundwork of the very essence of the credit union movement. Then they learn how to evaluate your members' experience to new heights through our Service Excellence workshop. We'll equip attendees with the skills and the mindset needed to deliver exceeding excellent service every time with every member, internal or external. And that's not all. Our Becoming a Sales Champion workshop or Referral Sales Champion workshop arms employees that are member facing with the skills to improve members' financial well-being by seamlessly presenting valuable products and services that improve financial well-being for our members. Alternatively, for those that are focused on just referrals, our Referral Sales Champion workshop opens the doors to unmatched expertise. Don't miss out on the opportunity to live out your mission one new hire at a time with this extraordinary opportunity to send your new employee to our New Employee Bundle. Bulk pricing discounts are available on our event's website. Visit servicestarconsulting.com/bundle for more information.